body. Your chemical body is holding all this light. You push it outwards, and that's when you get the spirit realm. That's what when they say ghosts or spirits around that you physically can't see. They're just projected consciousness outside. They don't have bodies.
No, that's very true.
And they might say astral projection is a conspiracy. YouTube might tell me astral projection is a conspiracy, but you can look it up on the CIA.gov. That shit's declassified. Declassified.
That is declassified.
Go look up astral projection on CIA.gov. You'll find out exactly what we're talking about.
The gateway tapes.
The gateway tapes. We've all done them. Maybe not so.
No, I haven't.
Me and Corey have.
I've not seen it.
Literally spun 180, no cap.
I can't fact check any of this.
This is not fact checkable. This is my reality.
No, that's facts, Jack.
That's facts, Jack. And we're back to 5D Spiritual Warrior Podcast.
Self-awareness is what allows us to have that conscience, right? Your consciousness is able to discern between good, bad, right, wrong, right? And that's because it's aware of itself and it's aware of the choices that it's making, right? But with that self-awareness comes another part of your consciousness, which is the ego.
The ego,
right?
Yes.
That's the part of your head that wants to feed. It's survivalistic. It's animalistic.
That's the part that tells you
Very primitive.
Exactly, primitive. It wants what's best for me right now.
That's that survival.
Right in the moment.
Exactly.
No
That's that survival
goal.
instinct. That if it's kill or be killed type.
Yeah.
It's me or you. That's the consciousness.
I crave this, so I should have it. I'm going to go after it like an animal does.
Exactly.
My dog wants something, it's going to go after it because it wants it, and it's just that's the ego right there.
That's
the fact that we're aware of it. The ego says a lot because a lot of people aren't even aware of the ego.
No.
Right.
Everyone knows
Or maybe
the word ego.
like a little bit, but not to a very high degree, or even a little bit more like.
Well,
ego.
yeah, everyone
They're
knows.
not consciously thinking.
Everyone knows I'm hot-headed. I got a big ego, this and that. But like, they don't know that the ego isn't them. Because if they knew the ego wasn't them, you wouldn't be hot-headed. You wouldn't be angry. Because like, you could step aside and realize it's all about the oneness.
Exactly. The
So,
awareness that pervades everything.
Exactly. So if you're aware and you're conscious of the ego, you can take a step outside the physical body, look into, see shit from like different angles, different levels of awareness, and you got it. That's it.
Because when you talk about that with the oneness, how you
It's
mentioned yesterday, with the replacing the words "I am" with oneness in the Bible, and when you look at Jesus going out fasting in the desert, he said he was going to fast for 40 days, and Satan, who I believe is representative of the ego in human nature, goes out to tempt him, and the first thing he goes for is Jesus' human desire for food. That's his survival thing, and he attacks it. And you figure that at any point in time, Jesus could be able to defeat Satan in a physical battle, but he doesn't. And I believe the reason is because Jesus had already defeated Satan when he set out to do the fast and knew that he was not going to break it. So there was no need he had already conquered that ego, so that temptation had been defeated, and that's the message he was trying to give to us, that what you have to do is not give something up for 40 days like how the church says, but you have to give up everything for, say, 40 days and defeat everything, ascend from that ego.
If you think about it, he's fighting for the oneness when he's in those fucking, in the desert for those 40 days. He's not fighting for Jesus, he's not fighting for Yeshua. He strictly he's got all 7.8 billion people on his planet when he's doing that.
I think that Yeshua, Jesus, right? I think that his message was greatly distorted over time.
Greatly distorted,
100%.
It was not his original teachings. And like you said, you like to say about changing I am with oneness in the Bible. And you do that and the teachings make a whole lot more sense. But nobody would have understood their teachings back in the day.
Yeah, and even what so many people do now is take things so literally, and somebody else distorts the word, because everybody who reads the Bible is going to look at it in a different way. And what most people don't do is, I feel like they don't look at the lesson, they focus more on all the other stuff, the more reality of it, instead of not taking it so literal. I'd rather just focus on the teaching, because that's what the whole point, that's why it came down.
Yeah, if we get back on that quote, oneness is the way and the truth and the life. no one comes to the Father except through oneness. So what Jesus was saying, he was coming down in a place with a higher level of consciousness. He was coming down in a level of 4D, of love and wisdom. Or 5D rather, love and wisdom. So he had already conquered all the love. So he has no ego, therefore he cannot treat you the way, Corey and Sean are my best friends, but like, I still judge them sometimes because that's my ego.
Yeah.
If you do
It's just
something,
nature.
if you do something fucked up, I'm gonna judge you. Or do some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Jesus would never judge. So we all gotta learn. No matter if you're Jesus' enemy, the devil rather, he's not gonna just not love the devil. You know what I mean? He loves everyone. That's a high level state of being. High level
to love
of
your
consciousness.
enemies. It's very
To love
low.
everyone, because at the end of the day, when we all pass on, it's all we got. We're all just one being, just existing on this three-dimensional plane.
Especially with here in Revelation with the oneness, you would say oneness is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. And it's because that consciousness just is. It always has been. It always will be. And we're just experiencing it. And people just have to realize that the simplest way of putting it is just it is.
It is, and the original thing,
It is
consciousness,
and
I am. It's all about I am. Like, what is I am? You are everything. I am everything.
You are everything, and you are also present. So Jesus,
and everything
had
is
that
me.
Christ
Everything is me. And he has that Christ consciousness, because what is Christ? The definition of Christ literally is anointed one. That wasn't Jesus' last name. They simply just gave him that name. Jesus, the anointed one. Yeshua, the anointed one. So that they're talking about, you talk about Christ consciousness. What does that simply mean? It means anointed one consciousness. You're coming from the God consciousness, the infinite creator, the love and the light, all of it in one, manifested in one physical being on earth known as Jesus Christ. So when you think about it like that and you realize what his teachings were, and like he was coming down as the Son of God, but he was coming down also as God, waking us up to the fact that everyone is God. Because everyone has the capability of tapping into Christ consciousness.
Everybody.
And once you do so, you realize that you have the power to move mountains, like he said, we talked about in the quote yesterday. Thoth, rather, right?
Jesus.
Or was it Jesus?
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah. Don't matter.
If you make the 2-1, you look at the mountain.
If you make the 2-1.
Paraphrase, yeah. If you make the 2-1, you look at the mountain and say move, and it will move.
The 2-1 meaning what?
Yeah.
The
2-1, 2 into 1 meaning love and wisdom, right?
Yes.
The two together, and thought and emotion. So when you put those two into
The
one,
masculine and feminine.
the masculine and feminine, right? There needs to be balance in the universe, but when that balance is perfect, then you get power, right?
When the stars align, so to
When
speak.
the stars align, precisely.
The eclipse, it becomes one.
That's the non-duality, the awareness, the I am presence. That manifests at 600, like on the David R. Hawkins scale. That's like 600. Self-realization. That's enlightenment.
Speaking of David R. Hawkins, I have kind of a long quote. I'm just gonna super.
Yeah, bro. Let's get into Hawkins.
It's what we get for having played the victim and allowed ourselves to be programmed. It's the price we pay for having bought into negativity. It's what results from resisting the part of ourselves that is loving, courageous, and great. It results from allowing ourselves to be invalidated by ourselves or others. It is the consequence of holding ourselves in a negative happen. The way out is to become more conscious. What does it mean to become more conscious? To begin with, becoming more conscious means to start looking for the truth for ourselves, instead of blindly allowing ourselves to be programmed, whether from without or by an inner voice within the mind, which seeks to diminish and invalidate, focusing on all that is weak and helpless. To get out of it, we have to accept the responsibility that we have bought into the negativity and have been willing to believe it. The way out is this, then is to start questioning everything.
Yeah, but why should I take responsibility if I can just plug into the metaverse?
Good one. YouTube, take this down. I dare you. We're coming after you. Yo, oh God,
we are coming after YouTube. We will be.
Who are we coming after on this pod?
We're coming after everything.
This is only the second episode, but stay tuned. We're coming after absolutely everybody, bro. I'm telling you. Buy this book. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about.
Everybody and their mother.
Back to conscious, back to the David R. Hawkins studies, right? So he says through testing with physics and mathematics that an individual resonating at the level of 700 on the consciousness chart which is the 700. That meaning the emotion that it's correlated with is the level of enlightenment. Anyone at enlightenment consciousness can simply balance out, counterbalance 70 million individuals who are resonating below 100, below level 200 rather. That is the level of courage. So anything under the level of courage is pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. Those are all the emotions resonating under 200. So simply by raising your consciousness to those higher levels, even logic counterbalances 400,000 individuals resonating lower than 200. So simply by raising your consciousness, you're helping others around you. That's what we're trying to do with this pod. Because we're all resonating within love and trying to be above love. We'll counterbalance. 700, us three are counterbalancing 750,000 individuals.
Right now.
Let's times it by 3.
It's because that consciousness scale moves at an exponential rate, right? So
we're about counterbalancing, us 3 right now, by doing this pod to YouTube, 2.25 million people on Earth.
It's a lot of bodies.
It's a lot of bodies.
That is.
That's a good thing. That's how easy it is to awaken other people's consciousness. It's not hard, people. It's not hard. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Helping yourself is helping the world.
Helping yourself is helping the world. Correct. Because why? Because it's oneness. We're all the same. Corey's a physical manifestation of myself. Sean's a physical manifestation of myself. Cameraman Dave's a physical manifestation of myself. It's all oneness.
Yeah. Facts.
All right, guys, we only got a few minutes left.
Alright, so we only got a few minutes left, so I want to bring it back to presence and awareness and talk about how presence and awareness is the purest essence of consciousness, right? Not diluted by the ego. Not that the ego is impure, but it's just predated, right? We're getting past it. That was back when we were hunting and gathering, we needed that. We're past it.
Yeah.
We're talking about pure consciousness, right? And we want people to become aware of their consciousness, right? We're saying we're helping awaken humanity. We want to help people awaken to their true potential, their
that infinite potential.
Exactly.
That Christ consciousness. All that. Same name, same thing.
If everybody's living in Christ consciousness, presence, awareness at all times, that's how we reach a higher level of earth.
That inner peace, baby.
Exactly. The hippie movement started for a while. Richard Nixon chopped it down, and then we got to bring it back. Consciousness exists everywhere. Consciousness is the mechanism by which our universe experiences itself. Exactly, right?
It's what stabilizes.
Exactly. Consciousness.
It always is. It always will be.
It's the foundation.
For infinite. It's literally, what is space? What is the universe? Infinite. That's all it is. What are we? Infinite. Why? Because we are the universe, and the universe is experiencing itself through us. Consciousness. All consciousness.
All consciousness.
The only way for the universe to experience itself through us is the C word, the big C word we've been talking about the whole time. Consciousness.
Consciousness.
The big C we've been talking about the whole time. They're messing up at the end.
Consciousness is infinite, but you know what is not infinite? This podcast.
This podcast is not infinite. We're wrapping it up right now. Good night, guys. Tune into episode 3. We're gonna dive into more stuff. We're coming after.
We're coming out a lot of stuff. True bombs.
True bombs.
Boom. 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 Boom.